Mine or Die Collision. Silent Devotion. Book 2 of the Mine or Die series. Theme, Love is Madness. By Joanna Writes. __________. Copyright Joanna Writes Originals. Written by Joanna. Warning, this is an original story. Do not copy, repost, adapt, or use without permission. Legal action will be taken against plagiarism. All rights reserved. ____________. Chapter 1 and 2. Luca had been in love with Ezra for years, and there was no changing that. It wasn't something that started yesterday or last week, or when they were in Blackmore. It had rooted itself so deep inside him that it had become part of his existence, something that breathed with him, lived with him, and refused to die no matter how much time passed. He was the quietest of the Voss family. So quiet, almost invisible. The one people overlooked. The one who stayed in the shadows while the others took up space, commanded attention, and ruled with presence. But Luca didn't need attention. And that's why he and Cain were the closest, because they share a lot of things in common. He was the mind behind it all, the hacker, the strategist, the unseen force that kept the Black King Empire standing strong. He knew everything. Saw everything. Controlled everything and had everything. Yet the one thing he could never control and have was Ezra. He stood at the balcony of the Voss mansion, the night air brushing against his skin as his emotionless gaze stretched into the distance. Italy. They were back in Italy. Back to where everything had started. While he, Ezra and Victor lived together here, building their lives like nothing had ever gone wrong. Cain and Nyla were far away in the UK. Cain had chosen a different path. A softer one. He had chosen love, peace, a future. He had chosen Nyla. And even though he still remained the head, the power, the name that ruled over them all, he wasn't the same anymore. He wasn't as active. He wasn't as ruthless. Because he had something Luca didn't. Something Luca could never have. Someone who loved him back. After 4 years of their lives in prison because of the project buried beneath Blackmore, everything had somehow returned to normal. The chaos. The blood. The destruction. It had all settled. Like it had never happened. Back to Italy. Back to their lives. And Luca. Back to his silent devotion. Back to Ezra. He didn't even know when it started. Maybe it was the first day they met. Or the first time Ezra smiled at him, so easily, so carelessly, like it meant nothing, when it had meant everything to Luca. That smile had stayed. Burned into his mind. Haunted him. He wanted him. No. He needed him. In a way that went beyond reason, beyond logic, beyond anything human. He wanted Ezra to be his. No matter what. But how do you love someone for 10 years? And they don't even know? How do you spend a decade craving someone who looks at you and only sees family? A brother? That word alone made something dark twist violently inside Luca's chest. It sickened him. Because he was not Ezra's brother. He could never be. Not with the way he looked at him. Not with the way he thought about him. But still. Loving Ezra silently had been enough. Because it meant Ezra was still there. Still looking at him in a brotherly love. Still within reach. And Luca couldn't afford to lose him. Not to rejection. Not to disgust. Not to the possibility of Ezra looking at him differently, fearfully, like he was something wrong. Because if Ezra pulled away. If Ezra left him bay-high. Luca knew he wouldn't survive it, so he did the only thing he was good at, he stayed silent. Buried it, chained it and let it rot inside him if it meant Ezra would stay. But love like that doesn't stay quiet forever, it changes. It darkens. It becomes something else entirely. Something dangerous. Something consuming. A darkness had grown inside him, slow, patient, and inevitable. And it had finally awakened. Luka exhaled slowly, crushing the cigarette against the cold railing of the balcony, the faint burn barely registering against the storm building inside him. Then he turned, walking back into his room, until he reached the one place no one knew about. A hidden door. A secret he had never shared. Never would. He opened it and stepped inside. And there was Ezra, not physically, but everywhere else. Pictures. Hundreds of them. From different angles. Different moments. Different times Ezra had never even noticed he was being watched. Laughing. Walking. Talking. Even killing. Luka had captured it all. Preserved it. Kept it. And then there was the wardrobe, filled with Ezra's belongings. Clothes he had taken over the years. He had stolen them, small things, unnoticeable things from Ezra's room. And even if Ezra noticed one of his belongings was missing, he brushed it off because Ezra was really careless. But Luka was the thief. Ezra's belongings were everything to him to calm his demons. And all the belongings in this wardrobe were never washed because he needed them to smell like Ezra. He reached out slowly, his fingers brushing against the fabric. This was one of Ezra's boxers. And it was Luka's favorite one. His grip tightened slightly as he picked one piece, holding it close, his eyes darkening with something unreadable, something deeply wrong. He pulled the boxer to his nose as he sniffed it, his hand tightened around it as he inhaled Ezra. His nose moved to the place where Ezra's D***ck would be as he inhaled it harder, and Luka was getting hard. He was obsessed with Ezra. He badly needed it. His cock tightened against his pants as he could feel the pre-cum flowing. "Fuck," he whispered. Then he started to suck it, growling and moaning. Sucking the part of Ezra's dick will be in the boxer as Luka released inside his pants. He was breathing heavily. He needed Ezra, he couldn't hold this silent love. This obsession. This addiction. This need, it had gone too far, and there was no turning back. No fixing it and no stopping it. Luka closed his eyes briefly, inhaling again as if trying to ground himself, but it only made it worse. But Luka was the thief. Ezra's belongings were everything to him to calm his demons. And all the belongings in this wardrobe were never washed because he needed them to smell like Ezra. He reached out slowly, his fingers brushing against the fabric. This was one of Ezra's boxers. And it was Luka's favorite one. His grip tightened slightly as he picked one piece, holding it close, his eyes darkening with something unreadable, something deeply wrong. He pulled the boxer to his nose as he sniffed it, his hand tightened around it as he inhaled Ezra. His nose moved to the place where Ezra's D***ck would be as he inhaled it harder, and Luka was getting hard. He was obsessed with Ezra. He badly needed it. His cock tightened against his pants as he could feel the pre-cum flowing. "Fuck," he whispered. Then he started to suck it, growling and moaning. Sucking the part of Ezra's dick will be in the boxer as Luka released inside his pants. He was breathing heavily. He needed Ezra, he couldn't hold this silent love. This obsession. This addiction. This need, it had gone too far, and there was no turning back. No fixing it and no stopping it. Luka closed his eyes briefly, inhaling again as if trying to ground himself, but it only made it worse. 18,627. His wrist lifted slightly, his gaze dropping to his Apple Watch as he checked Ezra's location. Always precise. Always accurate. Because Luka made sure of it. Every single piece of clothing Ezra owned had a tracker. Something small. Invisible. Something Ezra would never notice. Because Luka needed to know. Needed to see. Needed to be sure Ezra was always within reach. Always somewhere he could find him. His jaw tightened slightly before he lowered his hand, already moving. Until he got to Ezra's door. He didn't knock. He never needed to. The door opened quietly, and there he was. Ezra. Collapsed on the bed, completely drunk, his body loose, defenseless, unaware. Easy. Luca's voice came out low, almost unfamiliar, as he stepped closer, reaching out slightly like he could pull him back into consciousness. But Ezra didn't move. Didn't react. Didn't even stir. Gone. Lost to the alcohol. Luca stood there, staring at him, his eyes darkening slowly, something deeper rising from within. His demons coming out, his thoughts becoming toxic. It demanded. Take him. Keep him. Make him yours. Fuck him, he's unconscious. His jaw clenched hard, his entire body going still as he fought it, forced it back down, and suffocated it before it could take over completely. Not like this. Not yet. Not when Ezra could still wake up, still look at him, still see him. Luca turned abruptly, walking out of the room before that darkness could fully consume him. But it didn't leave. It followed him. Clung to him. Growing heavier. His love, it wasn't love anymore. It was turning into something darker. Something dangerous. Something that didn't care about right or wrong, only possession. Only having. He stepped into his room, his breathing slow but uneven, his mind already made up even if he refused to admit it out loud. Because once that line was crossed, there would be no going back. His hand moved to the drawer, pulling it open with quiet precision before retrieving a small medical syringe. A sedative. Strong. The kind that would shut the body down into a deep, heavy sleep, no pain, no awareness, nothing. Even if someone tried to wake him, he wouldn't respond. Not for hours. 12 at least. Luca stared at it for a moment, his expression unreadable. Then he moved. Back to Ezra. Back to where he belonged. The door opened again just as quietly as before, the room still dim, still silent except for Ezra's soft breathing. Luca locked the door behind him. He approached slowly this time, standing beside the bed, looking down at him, he was spiraling. There was no controlling it. His love was becoming toxic. Being patient had changed that into something unhealthy. And just didn't know it yet. His fingers gently took Ezra's hand, turning it slightly, exposing his skin. There was no hesitation now. No pause. The decision had already been made the moment he walked out the first time. The needle pressed in smoothly. Quick. Precise. Done before it could even matter. The sedative slipped into Ezra's bloodstream, sealing his state, dragging him deeper into unconsciousness where nothing could reach him. Luca pulled the needle away, his grip lingering just a second longer than necessary, his thumb brushing lightly against Ezra's skin. 12 hours. 12 hours where Ezra wouldn't wake. 12 hours of him ravishing Ezra's body. Because if he can't have Ezra when he's conscious, he could have him when he's unconscious. Luca started undressing Ezra, leaving him naked. He stared at Ezra's body, white almost as snow. He was the only one who didn't have a tattoo. He always hated it. Luca turned him, letting him lie on his chest as Luca stared at his ass. Then he looked at Ezra's hole. Fuck him. Fuck him. This is your chance. Fuck him. Make him ours. His cock tightened in his pants. Once his demon hands had touched Ezra's body, there was no going back. He had to have him even if it meant raping him unconscious. To be continued. 1K likes, 500 comments and 100 shares.